to take a look at a device called ThreatBlocker. So ThreatBlocker is something that you put in line between the device that you want to protect and the GPS antenna. It detects spoofing, it detects jamming, and it also removes jamming. So that's the key feature with ThreatBlocker, is that it removes jamming from the signal so that it doesn't impact the long-term performance of your downstream device. So that there's detection and mitigation built into ThreatBlocker. The downstream device that we're going to be protecting is the SecureSync from Orolia. The SecureSync is a time and frequency server, so it serves all sorts of different timing and frequency signals and can be used in applications from military to financial markets and enterprise. It's very, very flexible in its configuration, so you can configure it for network timing, for iRig timing, any type of timing signals that you need. But in order to develop and derive all of those timing signals, it has to have a reference to start with. And that reference is normally GPS or GNSS. So that's what we have plugged in here. I have a GPS antenna plugged into the SecureSync, so we can see now that it's in sync and that there's no faults. So when we look at the front panel of it, the top green light is just the power. This green light is the sync status, and then the bottom one is the fault. What we have here is a GNSS simulator, a GSG6, and I'm going to be using it just to add a jamming signal to GNSS. So it can be used for testing interference events, all sorts of GPS events. It can be time reference for the SecureSync for testing purposes to test different dates and times. But in this case, I'm just using it for the jamming. So right now I just have the antenna connected, the SecureSync connected to the antenna to the live sky. The jamming signal is combined with those through a combiner. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the jamming signal on so we can see how the SecureSync reacts to that. So first, we don't have ThreatBlocker in mind at all. So I just need to push start. I already pre-configured it. So now we're just starting to transmit the jamming signal, and we can see here that we have a problem with our synchronization. It can't synchronize to GPS anymore, and there's a fault light letting us know that. Now the SecureSync will stay in this state as long as the jamming is present. There's nothing it can do about it. It detects it, it knows that it's lost GPS, it lets you know about it, and it does go into holdover, which still allows us to provide accurate timing for some amount of time. But if the jamming signal remains present, it's going to cause SecureSync a bunch of problems. So I'll stop the jamming signal, give that a couple seconds to get the live signal back. In the meantime, I'll go ahead. Right now I just have this cables attached together through just what we call a bullet connector, just a pass-through, so that I have a place to connect ThreatBlocker. So I'm going to put ThreatBlocker in line. So I'm connecting the SecureSync to the RF output of ThreatBlocker. And our GPS antenna to the RF input. So you have to let ThreatBlocker get a position and start reading the GPS signal as well, because I haven't had it on GPS this whole time. So we should just take a couple seconds for that. I think one of them's already low. And then we gotta give SecureSync up. It's faster than me, even walking around here. It's ready to go already. So basically just gonna run the same thing again. I'm just gonna turn that same jammer signal on and see what happens now that I have ThreatBlocker in line. So now the jamming signal is just starting. ThreatBlocker identifies that there's jamming present. So it's locked on here. And then what ThreatBlocker does is it enables its internal removal of the jamming signal. So we should see here this reacquire our satellites and go back into sync and operate as normal. We just have to give SecureSync a minute to clear its alarms. And there we go. So now, even though the jamming signal is still present, I didn't remove it. It's still just as strong as ever, and I'm using a very strong jamming signal for this demonstration to make sure that everything gets fully jammed. That ThreatBlocker has identified jamming, that's why the jamming light is on, and is protecting the downstream device, which is the SecureSync. So even though we're still in the same environment, the jamming signal is still present. If we were here trying to use our cell phones for navigation or anything, they wouldn't work. GPS would be totally denied in the region of this jamming signal. SecureSync can continue to work because ThreatBlocker is in line and protecting it.